They say that you can plug any quarterback into Chip Kelly's system and they will succeed. But is that really true? Michael Vick was 2-4 as a starter. Mark Sanchez 4-4. That's kind of pedestrian. But Nick Foles, 14-4 as a starter for the Philadelphia Eagles. They say that timing is everything. Well, imagine if Nick Foles' 2013 breakout season would have happened this past year. We wouldn't even be talking about Marcus Mariota right now. Mike Owens is here. I'm Adrian Fedke. We're talking Nick Foles today. And God damn it, this motherfucker is underrated. And we're going to come at you today with some stuff. All right? So, Mike, how's it going today?
It's going good. This show is going to be about the Nick Foles minute, because on the local radio stations here in Philadelphia, they provide 1 minute every day to talk about a Mariota update. Well, the update is the Philadelphia Eagles are not getting Marcus Mariota, and the Philadelphia Eagles will be sticking with Nick Foles. I don't know why everyone thinks that just because, Chip Kelly and Mariota had this thing together at Oregon, that they automatically think that Chip Kelly is going to give everything up to jump up in the draft and get this guy when he's got a pretty decent quarterback already here in Philadelphia. So to just think that the Eagles are pretty much going to have to give up the house to go up and get a guy in Mariota, it really doesn't make sense. So it's interesting how people, they make the connection with Kelly and Mariota, and they automatically think that the Eagles are going to jump up and get him.
Yeah, and let's talk about some reality for a second, okay? Because, teams know that Chip Kelly's in love with this guy. So, all right, so if you look at the point system, for the draft, the Eagles, to move into, say, the top 5, they're probably going to have to give up, like, what, two first-round picks and 2 second-round picks? But here's the thing. Here's why teams might get turned away. The Eagles aren't a bad football team. So, obviously, if you do the math, if you get future first-round picks from the Eagles, they're not going to be, top 10 picks. They're going to be in the teens, in the 20s, low 20s, whatever. You're not going to get these high draft picks. So when you look at the whole scheme of things, yeah, according to the point system, it might be 2 first-rounders, 2 second-rounders, but in reality, you might have to give up more. Teams might ask more, and quite frankly, like, the more and more we look at it, it's not worth it.
No, it's not worth it at all. And, as we get closer to the draft here, there's other teams that are starting to jump in to the, Mariota picture because of things that have happened so far in the offseason. I mean, you look at a team like the Browns. Now, all of a sudden, Johnny Manziel is in rehab, and now they're looking for a quarterback. So, you throw in another team that needs a quarterback. So, I believe that there's just too many teams ahead of the Eagles that need a quarterback, and if the Eagles even attempted to move up, these teams are really going to do their best to rip off the Eagles, and they're really going to ask for really the house. They're just going to make an outrageous offer, and this is where really we talk about Chip Kelly, and this is really his debut draft because he's in total control of the organization now. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. We saw in the last draft how, Chip Kelly may have, jumped up a little bit too high and, drafted the guys a little bit earlier than he should have, especially with some of these guys from Oregon like Josh Huff, Taylor Hart. Don't really know about because he didn't play last year, but it looks like he was a stretch too. So it'll be interesting to see how Chip handles this draft.
Yeah. Johnny Football, man. Actually, no. It's not Johnny Football anymore. It's Johnny Fireball. Okay, that's his new nickname. But yeah, the Browns are a mess. And if you're a team in the top 5, right? Would you rather trade with the Eagles or would you rather trade with the Browns? The Browns are a lot worse than the Eagles, so you're going to want better picks and they obtain those picks, you would rather trade with the Browns, wouldn't you? I mean, that's self-logic. That's easy logic right there. But, yeah, so, we got some draft stuff talk out of the way. Let's talk about Nick Foles now. And, obviously 27 touchdowns, 2 interceptions 2 years ago. That was fantastic. This year, the numbers weren't so great. And I've gotten into arguments on Twitter all the time. They're like, well, Mark Sanchez, he had 14 turnovers, and Nick Foles had 13. It's really not that much of a difference. Well, here's the thing, people. All right, obviously, you look at Foles, and, the offensive line wasn't great this year. We know that, especially when Foles was playing, playing musical chairs up front. And the problem with that is when that happened, the Eagles would sometimes, need to bring Brent Selleck in the block. They need extra blockers. So that means you're not going to have Zach Ertz as a receiver because he's not exactly, a blocking tight end. So that limits, your receivers out in the patterns. And when one of those guys is Riley Cooper, that's a problem. So, so instead of seeing, say, a lot of 3 wide receiver, 4 wide receiver sets with, multiple tight ends, you're seeing a lot of, vanilla stuff, 2 wide receivers, because you have to bring guys in the block. So basically, all Nick Foles had was Jeremy Maclin and Jordan Matthews from time to time. So he didn't really have that array of guys to throw to. And, I think a lot of people are overlooking that.
Yeah, and the other thing that you can't forget about is the slow start that, Shady McCoy had. Now, McCoy picked it up the second half of the season, but the first half of the season, when Foles was in there, McCoy was struggling a bit. And that, again, it all goes back to that offensive line, and that's why McCoy was struggling. So, really the key to this whole thing is keeping that offensive line intact, because if they can keep the O-line intact, then, Foles is not a bad option at all. I mean, you talk about his 14-4 record as a starter. There's a lot of teams around the league. Almost everyone would take a starter like that with that type of record. So I don't know why everyone thinks that Chip Kelly needs this running type of quarterback that can make plays on the fly. Foles obviously is not the fastest guy out there, but we have seen him run the ball at time to time and have some success with it. When he has to do it, he does. So I think with the healthy offensive line and maybe adding a speedy receiver, then the Eagles should just be fine with Foles.
Yeah, and we've mentioned this before. If you guys are fans of the Bitterbirds, you guys know this. We were not fans of Nick Foles when he first started playing quarterback for us. We looked at the arm strength. We're like, he doesn't have arm strength. His accuracy isn't there. And he just kept throwing one touchdown pass after another. And, while everybody was hopping on the bandwagon, the Bitterbirds were playing hard to get. And we needed to see a lot more. And then this past year came, and it feels like we're the only ones left on the bandwagon. It's crazy how it all worked out. But it's just insane. But when I look at Foles, let's face reality here. He's never going to be an elite quarterback. I think we can all agree with that. He doesn't have the arm strength. He doesn't have the accuracy. He's missing some of those tools to make you an elite guy. But where he benefits from, where he's really good at, he's got a lot of those intangibles. I love his quiet leadership, his demeanor that he has. He makes a mistake, and it doesn't affect him at all. He wins games at the end. We've seen this before. And the drive that really impressed me, even though it came in a loss, was that San Francisco game. Nick Foles didn't do shit all game. Eagles offense couldn't do shit all game. When the game mattered, Nick Foles went right down the field. Right down the fucking field against one of the top-ranked defenses in the league. And they got stopped at the goal line and eventually lost the game. And that was the drive that really, really, caught my attention, really caught my eye. And, Yeah, so that's kind of my take. What do you think about Foles in terms of his intangibles?
Well, you're talking about Foles and how he's clutch, and I think that's one of the things that people really overlook with him. He, over his career so far in the NFL, he's proven that he's a clutch quarterback. When it comes down, to the final minutes of the game, he leads his team down the field. And everyone seems to forget that in that playoff game against the Saints, when Foles left the field, the Eagles were in the lead. So, you were talking about that, the 49ers drive there too at the end of the game. So, that's, one trait that's it's something that you can't, teach with quarterbacks. It's just, something that is built into them. And the other thing you have to look at with Foles, and I don't think this is, something that people think about, but Foles is going to be going in, to the last year of his rookie deal this year, and he's coming off a bad season and an injury. So, you would think that this guy, he's going to be pretty pissed off, and he's going to come out with something to prove this season. So that's why I kind of feel like that Foles could really come out and put up a big year, something not 2013, but he could do something similar.
Yeah. All right. Let's compare Mark Sanchez to Nick Foles, and you're going to see that the numbers were quite similar, and that's what we're going to talk about why these numbers were different. Well, why they're similar, but why they're different. All right, so Nick Foles, 186 of 311, 2,163 yards, 59.8 completion percentage, 13 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 3 fumbles lost. Mark Sanchez, 198 of 309, 2,418 yards, 64.1% completion percentage, 14 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 3 fumbles lost. As you can see, the numbers are very, very similar. But again, to talk about this further, Mark Sanchez had a healthy offensive line, and he was still getting sacked. In terms of, playing scared, Nick Foles doesn't play scared. Mark Sanchez, once he started getting inaccurate, all of a sudden that deep ball was gone. We saw in the preseason him ripping those seam patterns all day long, all game long. It wasn't happening during the season. You remember the Texans game? That first pass that Mark Sanchez threw to Jeremy Maclin, playing with the world of confidence? What happened to that confidence? It went astray very, very quickly. And it doesn't take long for Marky Mark. Some quarterbacks, it's just like that. And that's why they call it the it factor. When you look at Foles, he doesn't get bothered. He makes a mistake, like I said, he bounces back. Nothing gets to him. He has that demeanor. Mark Sanchez doesn't have it. It's why we never wanted Mark Sanchez to start in the first place this season. Once the turnovers mount, they keep coming for Marky Mark. For Foles, not that he learns from it or anything, but he bounces back. I can't stress that enough. And we're going to see it next season. I'm telling you guys right now, he's going to have a healthy offensive line. As long as they don't go after Mariota, and as long as it doesn't happen, people are going to be happy. All right? I'm telling you guys right now, it's going to happen. The bitter birds are never wrong, okay? Nick Foles is going to be A-okay, and then when he freaking goes and wins, another Pro Bowl MVP, y'all can hold my neck.
There you go. And Sanchez still has visions of the butt fumble in his head. That was the problem this year. He would go back there and he would just stand there all day, and then it would be a sack and it would be a fumble. That was a problem with Sanchez. Visions of the butt fumble will never go away from him. And, it was obvious that he's a backup quarterback in this league because, he just couldn't beat, the good teams this year. When we needed him most, come up against Seattle and the Cowboys. Geez, even the Washington Redskins, he couldn't do it. And he failed. So that's the difference. Foles can go out there and he's going to be able to beat some good teams, but Sanchez just doesn't have the capability to do that.
Now, another thing that we need to stress as well, because, I believe in the rule of five. The rule of five is basically, you got to give 5 years for a quarterback to develop and harness his traits, so to speak. Nick Foles is in, what, year 2 as a starter, third year, he's played, 3 years? So he's still got another couple years to harness his craft. You look at a lot of guys. I mean, Peyton Manning, is just one example. His second year, his third year, he didn't play too hot. It takes a while. I'm trying to think of another guy. Colin Kaepernick, he didn't do so hot in his second year as a starter. There's a lot of examples of this. It takes time to harness the traits, to be that, great quarterback. And it takes a long time. It doesn't just happen overnight. Teams catch on to you, and it's your responsibility to counter back. So, yeah, some teams, they got to Nick Foles last year. And, the offensive line didn't help. You referenced Shady McCoy. Because they didn't have a running game, there's no play-action pass for Nick Foles. So, and he loves that rhythmic passing, the play-action pass. He loves that. Little play-action, little deep post for Jeremy Maclin. I mean, that's Nick Foles. That's his bread and butter right there. And you can't get that when you don't have a running game. So you're going to have a healthy O-line. Shady McCoy will be back to being Shady McCoy next year, and then you'll have the play-action pass for Nick Foles. And he's going to be third year as a starter, so it's just you're going to see continued improvement. Now, again, don't expect top 10 quarterback, in the NFL, but if you're 10 to 15, that's not so bad as long as you're clutch. And Nick Foles is clutch. He's got a little bit of Joe Flacco in him. That's kind of what he reminds me of. Just he doesn't have the arm strength, obviously, but in terms of the demeanor, the quiet demeanor, that's who he reminds me of. Joe Flacco, no one thinks he's a top 10 quarterback in the league, but he's got a damn Super Bowl ring, doesn't he?
That's all it comes down to, winning Super Bowls. And as long as you can do that, then you don't need to be a top 10 quarterback in this league. As long as you can, take your team to the promised land. And, what this whole thing comes down to is patience. Well, in the city of Philadelphia, there is no patience. So that's the problem with this whole thing. I mean, we got months to wait before the damn draft comes. I mean, we don't know about patience. So that's why people are, flipping out, talking about Mariota. Well, we have nothing else to talk about, quite frankly. I mean, we don't have to look forward to the Phillies because they're going to have a horrible season.
How do you know? What if they shock the world? Don Brown, baby.
Yeah, well, once Ruben Amaro Jr. dies, then maybe they'll, get back to their winning ways. But until either Ruben Amaro dies or someone goes in there and kills them, the Phillies are in bad shape. So we don't have that to look forward to. So, really just have the Eagles right now. And, patience, definitely doesn't go well with Philadelphia. So we just need to relax. And this goes back to what you're talking about with Foles. I mean, let's give the guy some time. Let's have some patience. We can't really judge him after really 2 years of being a starter. So just give him some time. I really think that, this is the year that we're going to be able to tell what type of quarterback Nick Foles is. And honestly, I would tell you that he's somewhere in between the 2013 season and the 2014 season.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Definitely. 100%. Oh, people and patience. By the way, you mispronounce Ruben Amaro's name. It's Ruin Tomorrow Jr. All right, that's his name. So, don't don't fuck that up again.
Oh boy, yeah, Ruben. There is no Tomorrow Jr. That guy.
Yeah. All right, so. All right, we talked Nick Foles. I guess we could talk a little bit more about the draft now. We got the Combine coming up, the Combine. Now, I tell you what, I despise the combine. I cannot stand the combine. It is the most retarded thing in the world. But I'll be watching it. I'll still watch the damn thing. So I'll be looking at my prospects, checking out the 40 times, seeing how fast you can go in your little shuffles. I'll still be looking at it, checking out your vertical leap. But yeah, there's a lot of prospects that the Eagles need that we're going to look at in the secondary, and it's crazy because we need secondary help, but there's not like a lot. It's not a great secondary class, and that's a problem. So, our vision, we would like the Eagles to go secondary first 3 rounds, but there are some guys that are tempting for me. Like for instance, Vic Beasley is a guy that I wouldn't mind them targeting if he falls to us. Kevin White is a guy that I wouldn't mind. The one guy that I really would like to fall would be Landon Collins out of Alabama, the safety. But there's 2 guys that have really caught the bitter birds' eye, both from Michigan State. We like Curtis Drummond, the safety, and we like Trey Waynes. We're hoping Waynes goes first round, Drummond goes second round, and that would be a win-win for the Birds, wouldn't it, Mike?
That it would. That's what we're hoping for. And you talk about the combine, and it's probably the only time of the year where you'll find grown men sitting around their TVs and watching other grown men work out on a football field in tight clothes. It's actually a pretty gay concept when you think about it, but every NFL fan around the country does it. Can they just wear like sweatpants or something? Maybe sweatshirt? Sometimes it gets a little weird.
Yeah, the key is to not look downstairs, all right? Because, that junk's like, all going all over the place. You never know with that.
Yeah, you get some of these big black guys out there, and geez, they just have to try to keep it in their little tight suits they got on. So
yeah, unfortunately, there's no Asians that play football because we wouldn't have to worry about that.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't be a problem then. But yeah, we gotta get ready for the combine, and yeah, like you were saying, the secondary. It's always tough to judge. That's one position that it's really tough to draft because you don't really know how these guys are going to pan out in the secondary. At least other positions you can kind of get an idea of how a player will translate to the NFL. But don't know. So hopefully the Eagles can strike gold in the draft with the secondary because obviously that's our biggest concern.
Yeah, yeah. And there is a concern for me when it comes to Chip Kelly in terms of this. I'm scared that because he doesn't really understand the draft, he might not understand the point system, and I'm scared that he's going to do something really, really stupid to try to get Mariota. Like, for instance, what if he does gives up 4 first-round picks in a couple seconds? That's what I'm scared about. And he's the guy that thinks he thinks differently than everybody else. That's what I'm concerned about. I don't know about you, but if I see that happening, oh boy, I don't know what I'd do.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm definitely worried about that too. That's why you got to hope that Manowitz, their new so-called GM, is going to be able to contain Chip Kelly. When we were talking about the GM search before, we were saying how we didn't want a yes guy. Now, obviously, we don't know anything about Manowitz. I mean, we've never met the guy, so we can't really offer any opinion there. But you just got to hope that he's not the yes guy because this draft is really key for the future of the Philadelphia Eagles, especially on defense. So, and offense is not something that we need at this point. So they've really got to focus on that defense, and we got to hope that Manowitz is going to be able to contain Chip Kelly if he gets a little excited when he sees Mariota still on the board.
Yeah, the perfect draft would be Trey Waynes first round, Curtis Drummond second round, and Ifo Epre-Olomu third round, considering he tore his ACL. Now, Olomu was the guy that I was in love with, during the year at Oregon, obviously the Oregon connection, but then he tore his ACL, and now that he tore his ACL, he might fall down in the draft a little bit. So hopefully, maybe he goes third round. So you get 3 secondary guys in your first 3 rounds, and that would be perfect for me. That's what I would want. But, we never get what we want.
Not in Philadelphia.
You can't always get what you want.
Man, you're singing today. You're ready to go.
Dude, you should have seen me this past weekend, man. I got forced. Oh, my God. I was at trip to Ohio. It was my uncle's 70th birthday party. And of course, I got wasted and shit. The funniest part was watching my aunt try to do a blowjob shot. I got this on video, and she failed miserably. The fucking shit went everywhere. But oh my God, I got forced into singing Spice Girls. See, I got sent up to the stage. I didn't know what I was about to sing. We had a trio. And all of a sudden, Spice Girls comes on. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, I don't know the words to this fucking song. So I pretty much, instead of singing, I kind of danced, and did that thing. And, I got some woos from the girls. They were liking it. But, like, it freaked me out because my cousin knew, like, all the lyrics. And I'm just like, what the fuck's wrong with you, dude? So his man card was immediately revoked. Mine was as well. And, so I'm shamed, but... Yeah, so I sang the Spice Girls this past weekend. I've been singing all weekend.
Yeah, you showed me the videos, and that blowjob shot was that was pretty funny. That could definitely go on those funny video shows. It would be an epic failure.
Oh man. That was great. I was like, all right, you ladies, you all doing blowjob shots right now. Oh,
everyone else, they got it done right. They went right in and right down.
They slurped it right up, man. They guzzled them down. Yeah, it was amazing. It was great. And then my 65-year-old aunt couldn't get the job done.
Oh man!
Oh, I love her too much. I will never post this video. See, this is like Vegas. What goes in Adrian's phone stays in Adrian's phone.
That's right. No, that's good. Definitely a good idea there. But oh man.
All right. So we have completely gone off topic. We have talked about my trip to Ohio. It was fun though. It was a good time. It was a really good time. Saw some people I haven't seen in a while. Got to see my Brazilian cousin last week, so it was a lot of fun. So where do we go now? Where do we talk about now? Pretty much talked about everything. It might be close to final thoughts time. I know that you have some visitors coming, so you have to get out of here.
Yeah, no, it's definitely getting close to final thoughts time. There's not much to talk about right now. There's nothing going on. I think we covered pretty much everything with Foles and Mariota, so hopefully we don't have to talk about that until the draft.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen because we're just going to keep talking about it. It doesn't matter. Quack, quack.
Yeah, quack, quack. Well, hopefully we get some signings here in the near future that we can talk about. Hopefully Macklin and maybe restructure McCoy and, re-sign Brandon Graham.
There you go. So those will be some future topics that we will talk about. Maybe we'll do like a free agency preview in the coming weeks. Next week we'll talk about the Combine because everyone wants to talk about the Combine. But yeah, we will do the Combine. But God damn it, if you people understand, the Mike Mammola conundrum, you should understand why I hate the fucking combine. All right, that boy was a workout wonder, and he fucking sucked. All right, so there's a lot of guys like this, and they see a guy, they run a fast fucking 40, and all of a sudden they fall in love with him, even though they've never fucking looked at him on game film. So it just makes no sense to me. I hate the fucking combine. Actually, I probably won't watch it. I'll probably just like do research and look at the numbers, and that's about it. I'm kind of with you. I'm not really big into watching grown men in tight pants. I'm kind of with you there. You don't want to talk about hold my neck. I don't want to see none of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you just stole the final thoughts there because that's exactly what I was thinking. For me, the one thing that I really can't stand is the 40. I mean, they get outrageous now at these times in the 40. Who cares what the hell they ran? So that anymore. The combine has just become this big huge event. Just guys working out. Some guys perform better on tests than others, and you can really improve your draft stock in the combine, which is crazy.
Yeah, it really is. All right, so I guess that's your final thought then. I don't have to ask you about them.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you can, go to the combine and, pump out, the 300-pound weights there, then you're good to go.
All right. So we may be watching the combine, we may not be, but we will be doing a show about it next week. So that will be our topic next week. With that being said, that's Mike Owens. I'm Adrian FAQ. Y'all have a nice Valentine's Day this coming weekend. Treat your ladies nice, all right? And don't do what I did. No blowjob shots. Don't do any of that. Too much shenanigans. All right, we're out of here. Later. Go Birds.
Go Birds.